Hey there, garden friends. Welcome back to Field Trippin'. Got a great little episode for you. You know, one of the worst things that a gardener is going to face on their road to success is just battling weeds. You know, those pesky plants that grow super fast, spread incredibly quickly into our gardens when we don't want them, where we don't want them. And so that's a problem for me. And so I've been neglecting this beautiful citrus tree behind me. It's actually a 2-in-1. I grafted a mandarin onto this special little orange tree that I have here, and it's growing quite well, actually, even though it's got this Bermuda grass. If you've ever dealt with Bermuda grass, you know it can be a big problem. So I've got a horrible little nest of Bermuda grass here. I've also got some weeds in my front garden that I'll also add into this video, because what I want to do is I want to empower you to battle those weeds in your garden, because you know it's not worth just letting them go and get bigger. The longer you wait, the worse they're going to get. The more water they have, and the more time and the more sunshine, they're just going to explode, and we don't want that here. And so what I'm going to do is today I'm actually going to do a couple different methods to remove them. Although one thing I'm definitely not going to do today is I'm not going to spray them. Today I'll be removing all these weeds, and I'll be using no chemicals, no sprays. Although if you have to use those in your own situations, I'm not here to judge. I'm just not doing that today. I'm going to be using probably my weed trimmer a little bit. I'm going to knock some of this, because some of this around this tree is actually pretty tall in a few other little areas. I'm going to knock it down with the weed trimmer. Then I'm going to come in at the end and with my hula hoe or my stirrup hoe, my oscillating cultivator, this wonderful little tool, and then I'll rip up as much of the rest of those weeds as possible. Especially with this Bermuda grass, you'll notice they have the underground stems, or even sometimes at surface level stems that look almost like a root, but it's a stem. They call that a rhizome, and that's how they kind of spread. And here, let me show you some right here. And you can see how they spread, right? They like these runners. And so sometimes they're at the surface, other times it can be under the soil. And so we're gonna get in there and try to remove as much, if not all of them, as we can. If we even leave just like a little section behind, you know, a couple nodes, that's a whole nother colony that I'll have to deal with later. As you can see, I've actually dealt with this a little bit in the past, but never gave it my full all. So so today we're gonna do a little bit of cleanup in here. I'm trying to show you what it takes to get all this Bermuda grass gone. Just a little bit of effort, a little bit of determination, but we can do it. Let's do it. Now, before I get down and dirty and get this job going and get right to work, I kind of want to show you what I was talking about. So like I said, this is mostly Bermuda grass in here, and it's spreading along the cracks of these rocks really quickly. It's getting fed by the water that's coming off this tree when I irrigate it. Like I said, it's a beautiful little citrus tree I planted here. It's actually a shame. We used to have a massive oak tree in this location when we first moved in here a handful of years ago. And I mean, like 60 foot oak, just tall and just beautiful. Anyhow, stump is gone. We ground it down. Now we got a little citrus tree in there, and you can actually see it's getting quite a bit of fruit on it. And it's actually a 2-in-1. So that branch right there is a mandarin that I'm kind of cultivating and working on there. I grafted it about maybe 2 years ago, right here to the stem here. You can see now I got a good little mandarin on there. So 2-in-1. But anyhow, I want this tree to do well. I want it to do really well. And so we're gonna get in here, and you can see all this Bermuda grass in here that's gonna have to be dealt with. I don't want to hurt this tree. So when I do get in here with my weed trimmer, I'm probably gonna have to make sure I pull back any of these branches. Look at that, there's a little branch right there. So I'm gonna pull those back and get at this material, chop it all up, rip it all up, and then, like I said, I might actually just try to maybe see how far I can get with my hula hoe. I might not even have to use the weed trimmer right here. Might just be safer to use the oscillating cultivator, or that stirrup hoe. Let me go grab that. I'll set things up, and we'll take a look, and we'll see how far we can get. Before I get started, though, I also wanted to show you a few other little weeds. Look at the cracks here. Ugh. But I was going to I'm going to use that hoe, that cultivator, to rip out some of these weeds right in here that are growing near my lilies that are getting underwatered. You can see, you ever seen a thirsty lily? That's what they look like. So I'll be more apt to water them once I get these weeds removed, just because it's a lot easier if the soil's a little bit drier to rip these weeds out. If you get it all wet and soggy, you think, oh, it'd be softer. It just makes a big muddy mess, right? And then it's just, soil's a bit heavier to work in and a little more difficult. So I'll probably rip them out now, and then as soon as they're all gone, I'll clean this all up and show you what it looks like, and then I'll get these beautiful flowers watered, because there's still some buds in there that we can help nourish, and we want them to grow and be good for next year. All right, let's do it. All right, so if you're still with me, which I appreciate, as from the time lapse has shown, I've got it somewhat cleared up, but look, it's just to show you, even though it looks somewhat clear, it really isn't that ready yet. You see all these bits and pieces down here? That's that rhizome I'm telling you about. That's still, even though it looks kind of dead and dormant, that can still grow. All this can still grow. So what I'm not going to show you, but I'm going to do here in a moment, is I'm going to come through here and I'm actually going to pick through and use my tool, my hands, use everything I got at my disposal to rip all of the remaining plant material out of here, except for, of course, this beautiful little citrus tree that we're trying to take care of and nurture. We got to get all this material out of here. So like I said, see that? That's got to go. Anything like that that is left behind will just spread like wildfire, like green wildfire, right? And we don't want that necessarily around these plants. Maybe, you know, maybe growing this plant somewhere else might be helpful where you need a quick growing plant. But right here, not so much. You can see right in here, you can see it's just, oh, big old colonies. Look at all that. Big long root rhizomes, then the roots. But either way, you don't want that in there. So I'm gonna come through here, like I said, with my tools and my hands. I'm gonna rip it all up. I'm actually gonna kind of grade the soil out a little bit, remove some of this other material, and get these roots kind of covered. You see this root's really exposed from all this work I've been doing around it, so we got to kind of grade that soil a bit. But really, the weeds, get them gone. But you know what? Before I do that, I want to show you another project. All right, now I know this is a little bit of a tangent from the citrus tree with all of its weeds and its Bermuda grass, but I wanted to show you just how quickly weeds that look like they're widespread and really difficult, how quickly they can come out with just a little bit of effort, right? So if you're at home and like I said, and you're worried about, you know, whether to start or not, just start. Better to get the weeds out while you can, when you can, as opposed to waiting and letting them do their thing and go to seed or spread out. So watch this. A little bit of effort, just pulling back, a little bit of forward, not a lot of force. This tool just rips it right up. Not, like I said, no sprays today. I'm not using any chemical sprays. So far, I haven't even used the weed trimmer, which is kind of nice. Bear, come here, come here. And really appreciating the fact that this tool does such a quick job. It's such a reliable tool, and what I like about it is if you do it right, you're not really disturbing the soil too much. You're just ripping out the plants right where their roots and their stems meet the surface level of the soil, which is great. So hopefully you got a good shot of this, because like I said, this tool works fabulous. It's an oscillating hoe, stirrup hoe, used to be known as a hula hoe, but this just works great for me. Like I said, we got all those weeds out of there. Luckily, I said it's not too wet over here, so it's really easy to work in when it's a bit drier right now. But boom, easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And if you want to clear anything up, you just put an angle on it. What was that, 60 seconds? I should have timed it. Couldn't have been much more than a minute or two for this whole little area right here. And so now I can get in here, add some mulch, get some water to these lilies, which they probably would love, and it'd make the next round of blossoms a whole lot bigger and happier. All right, so I definitely am working up a sweat. The sun's getting a little high. It's getting a little hot, but I definitely look how much material we got moved out. So this is just a little bit of a whole pile right here that's going to go into the green waste. I will not compost this material right here. You'll also probably notice from earlier, I actually did a bit of pruning around the skirt of this citrus tree. A lot of those branches were getting a little bit too low, and they've been putting on a lot of growth lately, but now that growth was taking them a little more horizontal than I wanted. That it was now dipping down towards the ground. I don't want those branches touching the ground. That's when ants and other creatures get up in there and it blocks off sunlight and airflow to the center of the tree. I don't want that. So now I pruned off a bit of the under canopy there. Just a little bit of that skirt got that trimmed up. So now we got about a foot or so of clearance underneath that tree. I'm gonna do one last thing. I got as much of the weeds removed as I possibly could within reason. I was in there ripping out. You'll notice everything I did. I had a hat, glasses, and gloves on today. That's very important when you're doing this kind of work, because the pulling weeds gets really, whether you're using a tool or your hands or whatever, it gets old really fast when you're barehanded. So definitely get yourself a pair of gloves and always protect your eyes and whatnot. And then, you know, of course, a hat just makes being out in the scorching hot sun a little more bearable. But what I'm going to do now is I've got some fresh compost from out back. I'm going to put a nice thick layer of that around the perimeter of this tree, right around that, basically as far as that canopy goes, maybe about a foot or two away from the trunk, all the way around. We're going to get a nice thick layer, maybe 2-3 inches of compost around, and we're going to soak it gonna get all this material out of here and to the compost bin, or actually outside, like to the green waste bin, because I don't want to compost it here. And then that'll about do it for me today. If you enjoyed this video, which I hope you did, please like, share, subscribe, comment. We'd love to have you back for more field trip in action. If you didn't like it and you're still here this long, hey, thank you for hanging in that long. That's really nice of you. Either way, take care. Bye-bye now. Gotta get to work.